Welcome to the messy middle of entrepreneurship, unfiltered and unapologetic. Uncensored Entrepreneurs, hosted by Starr, Robert Wall, and Tina Torres-Wilson, brings you real stories from the trenches of building a business. Those late nights, hard lessons, big wins, and everything in between. This is where the truth about entrepreneurship lives. No fluff, no filters, just raw, honest conversations with founders who have lived it. So, if you're over the highlight reel and you're ready for the real deal, hit play.
Hi, and welcome to Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Today we're talking about something that every entrepreneur wants to do. They want to crack the code to success. Wouldn't you love a cheat sheet to what would get you there faster? Wouldn't you love to have bigger conversations with people who have already done what you want to do and learn how to do it without the challenges, without the things that frustrate you the most? This is why we surround ourselves with higher level thinkers, and I cannot wait for this conversation today. So welcome to Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
This amazing man, Todd Falcone, has over 3 decades of successful experience in our profession, is one of the most highly respected network marketing trainers in the entire world. And I am telling you, this is completely true. For the past 15 years, he has spoken to audiences in over 30 countries, teaching the principles and strategies that has helped him create lifelong success in network marketing. His refreshing style is candid, real, and coupled with humor, having his audience both laughing and learning at the same time. So welcome, Todd Falcone, to Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Well, what's up, ladies? How's it going?
Well, we have been doing this show for a few months now, and I'm always curious about what made you come to the place where you felt excited about showing up in a way that I want to teach people how to crack this code of success. What was it that brought you to this place of really huge pieces of confidence that you've been able to acquire over time, right? And teach higher level people how to get what they want faster.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the beginning of my entrepreneurial career. I got out of college and found myself right into the network marketing arena. And when I first looked at network marketing, I had never heard of it before. It was totally off my radar. I didn't even know the concept existed. And the first time I was exposed to it was in a business opportunity presentation. And I saw it and it made sense to me. It was like, wow, this is a brilliant concept. No boss, work when you want, play when you want, no limits on your income, leverage, all those things that network marketing has. And so I began that journey and, I struggled like a lot of people do. And it took me a while to figure it out. But as far as me helping and teaching people today, it's like network marketing is so good when you get it going right. I kind of owe it to people that are entering this profession to do my job of helping them along their journey and make the journey easier and less pitfalls than I experienced, because everything that I teach is something that I've done.
Many people that have been in the industry long term and had massive success. I don't know any other industry that can take an average human and turn them into a business professional and then somebody that has created massive wealth and legacy for their families. But how do you keep grounded? How do you stay connected to that very first person that is enrolling today that has never done this before?
Maybe I'm just naturally grounded. I think it's kind of an interesting question, because there's a lot of people who get into this business and who achieve success and they let it all go to their head. And they think they're better than everybody else and holier than thou and that nothing bad can ever happen. And I've always been I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy that found this business, and maybe it's part of like my lifestyle. I'm not the guy that lives the lifestyles of the rich and famous and live in this monstrosity house and 11 cars and whatever. That's fine if you want to do that. I basically live in the mountains. I drive a regular car that can get me off road. I'm bouncing around hiking and fishing and skiing and doing outdoor activities. And so I think that environment naturally kind of keeps me grounded. I think that, experiences that you have in life with friends and family provide you greater riches than buying some $400,000 car.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
And Todd, I know a lot of people, just like how you went to that event and it was your first network marketing event, you were so excited. You're like, this sounds so good. I talked to so many people who want to either become entrepreneurs or who are getting into network marketing, and they're so excited, but they have this feeling that they're going to be instantly successful for whatever reason. Maybe it's the events that they attended. But I know you go back to the roots and the foundations of hard work, commitment, doing all the things. How do you help new entrepreneurs overcome that mindset that they have of instant gratification of getting rich quick, so to speak, but yet still understanding that they have to stick to this process.
Yeah, and I love it when somebody goes, "Oh, that's one of those get rich quick things." I'm like, "Whoa, you must clearly not understand network marketing then." It's so funny when people call network marketing a get rich quick scheme. I don't know anybody who's ever gotten rich quick in network marketing. Can you get rich here? Yes, you can. We live in this instant gratification world now. But like when I work with people or I teach people, it's like, look, man, you got to have realistic expectations. A lot of times you have to take a new person and adjust those expectations. Like for me, when I started in network marketing, I saw this business presentation, I saw the money, I saw the freedom, I saw the potential, and I jumped in. And 90 days into my very first venture, I quit my day job thinking I'm going to be making 10 grand a month and driving a BMW and wearing a Rolex, whatever. And I wasn't making like 10 bucks a month. And then I really struggled because I ran out of money because I had no money coming in from my network marketing business. I quit the thing that was paying my bills. And the first couple of years for me was very financially stressful. Nobody ever told me you're going to be making 10 grand a month in 90 days. I planted that own seed in my head. And so what I did is I created my own overly high expectations and I far under delivered on those expectations. That's my fault. Now, nobody ever sat down with me either and said, hey man, just so you know, this could take you some time to ramp up. I mean, skills take time, people take time, volume takes time to accumulate. You need to exercise patience in the journey. It's not going to happen for you overnight. So looking back, if somebody would have said, look, man, keep your day job and don't quit and like stay focused here while you still got income coming in until you've proven to yourself that you can make money here, I might have had a different beginning to my story, but I can't go back and recreate it.
Let's talk to those who are already in network marketing and hasn't hit that plateau yet where they're getting money, a couple times a month from network marketing. They're working a full-time job too. What would you like to tell them?
You should not quit that job until you've proven to yourself over an extended period of time that you can create income through network marketing. Now, what I do with people that have got a full-time job and have got very little time is teach them to look at their time differently. Most people don't look at their time. It doesn't matter who they are, what they're doing. Everybody's busy, but something has to give. So I'm like, okay, let's teach you to look at your time differently. So that 5-minute drive from here down to the grocery store could be a phone call, prospecting call. You got to run down to go pick up the kids on the way down. You could make a call. And most of the time people are like, well, that's not business building time. And it's not, but it could be. My friend Mark, who was on my team years ago, who came to me and said, I'm quitting. I'm like 70-hour work week. And I'm super involved in my church and my family. I just don't have time for this. And I got a 2-hour commute. And I was like, what? I go, you're in your car an hour a day and work and back. He's like, no, I'm in 2 hours into work and 2 hours home. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I'll tell you what, I'll commit to you. You commit to me. This is years ago. Max out your cell phone minutes on your cell phone. Get your prospect list on the way into work. And this guy went from 0 to like 10, 12 grand a month in less than a year. And he did it all in his car. And he went on to be very successful in network marketing, but he didn't see that commute time as, oh, I could probably be building my business during this time frame. So I don't suggest anybody quit their day job until they've literally proven to themselves that they can sustain, not only make the money. It's one thing to make 10 grand 1 month, but is that a sustainable income? You got 5, 6, 7 months in a row of sustaining it, and then you can make your own decision as to whether or not you want to quit your job.
I think that that's a really important thing to focus on when we talk about cracking the code to success, is that there's a different rhythm that people work in when they're successful, right? They figure out how to use that spare time standing in line at the grocery store, waiting to pick up their kids, driving to and from work now becomes their university as they're listening and they're educating themselves. There's a different rhythm that successful people step into, and it's something that is a choice. It's something that is an absolute choice. I remember for a long time, I know my mom's watching, and she's like, you don't need to work so hard. And I was like, if you understood the goals that I had and the passion that I had towards helping these people, it makes sense for me to work hard. It makes sense for me to fit this in. It makes sense for me to pick up a phone and call one of my team members or call a business client and have that phone call conversation on the way to my daughter's soccer practice or on the way to her soccer game. You know what I mean? And so we figure out ways that we can compartmentalize our time and be able to do more, because we've all heard the saying, you all have the same 24 hours in the day. You have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. You have the same 24 hours as Trump. You have the same 24 hours as these people that have increased their wealth and their productivity immensely. And so it's what you choose to do with your time on a daily basis and how you utilize that time that really matters. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And you got to have a vehicle that's going to get you there, right? You can spend all day working in something. We're exchanging time for money, and there's nothing wrong with that. People make fun of people that have jobs, which I think is stupid. I think people should be commended for taking care of their families. Like that acronym people use all the time, JOB, just over broke. I'm like, bro, you just insulted the very person you're trying to bring into your business. It's funny because I have a lot of family members, none of which have ever joined me in any of my network marketing companies. We're the materialists, in the family. And I'm like, we're not even material. We just have a nice house and we're good. And the funny thing is then they ask for money or they want to borrow money. I even had an argument with a family member. I'm like, why are you giving me crap because I chose something that contains the mechanics of wealth, leverage, and you've chosen a career which is just different. I don't make fun of you for having a job, and you're making fun of me because I've chosen the business that happens to have a couple really cool aspects to it that make more money than you do.
And I think that that's a place of leadership too, right? Like that's a strong place of setting people's expectations. I remember when I first got into this industry, I still cringed because the leadership that I had was not that great. And I sent out a mass email to all 1,200 or 1,300 of my hair clients. I started something new. I am so excited.
Hair clients? Wait a minute.
It's even worse than that though, because then I said in the message that was recommended by my upline at the time, I don't know why anyone would focus on this job when you could work and leverage your time. Like the girl that I'm working with is making $20,000 a month sitting at the beach. And I was like, I want that life. And I inadvertently, without leadership, without foresight, pissed off and offended all of my clients. I don't think any client bought from me, and they were so pissed off that they lost their hairstylist. And I was just like, this is the worst thing. I know that there are people that see the big picture that aren't just out there for a paycheck, that are truly out there in service to help other people. I know that. But when you talk about quick money in this industry, that it talks about sustainable. And I've seen people make a ton of money and then lose it because they didn't have the leadership, they didn't have the business foresight. And the other piece of it is anybody that I know that is making 6 figures or multiple 6 figures a month in this industry has been in the industry for 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. But would you be willing to start a business today that you could do part-time around your job to create that kind of asset that is going to continue to pay you for a very long time and work towards something for 10 years? And most people are not necessarily willing to do that, but it doesn't come down to them not believing in it. It's them not believing in themselves, right?
Huge mindset component. I mean, the biggest thing that stops people is what goes on in their head and they're in between their ears.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was
Absolutely.
one of the biggest things that you had to overcome? Think back in the day when you just started. I mean, you just got out of college, right? So you just probably paid $30,000, $40,000 to go to a 4-year college. What was your degree in?
Marketing. The only thing I learned about network marketing in college was, and I didn't recall it until later, was like the definition of network marketing. There was like one half a paragraph that defined what network marketing was. But I heard something or read something in a book, but never really recalled it. But that was literally all the network marketing coaching that I ever got. So, I mean, for sure, one of the first things for me, which is a big epiphany moment, is when I first started prospecting in network marketing, I was 22. And a lot of the guys that I was prospecting were older than me. And so I had this thing in my mind, well, they're older, they must know more. They've got more life experience. Why would they listen to me? Why would they follow me? I'm not successful. I haven't really done anything in my life. And I had a guy a couple years in, maybe 3 years into my network marketing business, who was all white haired. I don't remember how old he was. And he came to me, and at this point I was making, some money. I was probably making $6 or $8 grand a month or something. And he came to me and he said, hey, I want to borrow some money from you. I'm going to start this dating website. This is like way long time ago. It was a dating company. It wasn't even a website back then. And he goes, I'll give you my boat for collateral. He had this sailboat, this $50,000 sailboat that he was going to give me. And it was so weird because I was like looking at white hairs, and I think he was asking me for like 5 or 10 grand. And I was like, you're that age and you don't have 5 or 10 grand? Wait, what's wrong with this picture? So I realized like, wow, there's lots of people that it doesn't matter how old they are, may not have their financial worthiness put together yet. And that kind of shifted things for me. I started to just realize that it doesn't matter how old somebody is. You never know, they might be open and looking for something to help them create change in their life.
I hope you're enjoying this conversation. Before we continue, one thing I hear all the time, especially in the early stages of building a business, is how exhausting it is trying to manage everything on your own. I remember feeling like I had a dozen tabs open in my brain at all times. That's exactly what inspired me to create She Has Clients, an all-in-one sales and marketing platform for entrepreneurs who want to grow their business without patching together a million tools. If that sounds like what you need, you can learn more at shehasclients.com. Now let's get back to the conversation. Entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart, as we know. It's a long-term game, but a lot of people do give up. And I know you talked about the fact that for a couple of years you were struggling and you were, trying to stay afloat. So you mentioned that you try to help people accelerate their journey. So what are some of the things that people can do to help them accelerate the journey a bit faster towards that success?
I mean, first thing comes to mind is just keep it bare bones, simple. You don't need to complicate things. You don't need to know everything. You'll figure it out along the way. There's a lot of people that get involved in network marketing that they have a distributor ID number, but they're not really in the business. If somebody comes to you on your team and they're like, I'm quitting and it's not working out for me, which is a common thing. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they just cancel their auto ship and bail. The first question you should be asking them is, okay, cool, I get it. I'd love to keep you around. But let me ask you this, just give or take last 90 days, how many people have you shown this business to? And they're going to come back to you with the same answer every time. Well, not enough. So they already know the reason that they're not creating success. And now they're mad at the lack of the results from the work that they never did. This is very common. People think like posting and waiting on social media or doing reels and just sitting around waiting for the business to come their way is how they're going to build the business. They're not reaching out, inviting, getting people in front of presentations, showing people what it is that they do. That's the number one activity, regardless of where I started network marketing when it was meetings and phone. A lot of it is now driven through social media, social selling. But even if you're doing social selling, not everybody's got the beauty, not everybody's got the charisma. They're just average, normal people. And they don't have this massive following, this extra edge or this thing that makes them physically or more attractive, like this magnet for people to draw into. So they're just, I got a following of like 600 people. And, how does a person like that go out and build a business? Well, they've got to do. They've got to be reaching out to people, inviting and asking them to take a peek, take a look at their business. They need to have multiple reaching out methods. They can't just rely on one thing, only Facebook or only this thing. They've got to do everything that they possibly can to focus on the activity. And the activity is inviting. And so what I found is like, if you want to speed up your success, I don't care where you're at. If you're new or you've been around for a while and you're like, I don't like the way my check is progressing. Well, what have you done lately? How many new people have you introduced us to? How many new people have you put into the business in the last 3 months, 6 months, or a year? That's its telltale sign. And most of them will come to the realization that like, oh yeah, you're right. I really haven't done anything. Then the question is, if you really want to change your life and you're in this business, like, why aren't you working? Why aren't you stepping up? And that's where it goes all in here. The truth is some people are lazy, but it's like a small percentage of people. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm willing to do the work, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid of how people are going to perceive me or how I'm going to be judged, or I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. And that stops them. So they got to do a lot of head work to get the work in.
Yeah. Like, I really look at network marketing as a personal development tool on steroids, because if you want the results, you have to get over your ego. You have to get over what people think or the judgments that people are going to cast, and you have to do the work. And most people don't do the work because it makes them feel uncomfortable to follow up with people, to build relationships with people on social media, to make those phone calls. I remember when I first started training people and I was like, yeah, so I pick up the phone, I call, they're like, you call people? Yeah, actually get on the phone with them and start to get to know them and ask questions. And I think, some of us have those skills in our jobs already, right? I was a hairstylist for many, many years. I could have somebody sit in my chair and talk to them about anything. Or in the hospitality industry, or there's so many other jobs out there that have taught you the skills of communication and how to get information out of people and build relationships. And so if you already have those skills, when you go into network marketing, you have a leg up. If you already have a community, if you already have those things that are behind you, but there are people that come into network marketing that don't have any of those skills, and they have to learn from the bottom up. There is no cheat sheet. There is no shortcuts. We all start at that level. We all start at that space. And so having that mindset that I'm willing to do what it takes until I get the results that I want, I think is probably one of the biggest ways to crack the code to success, right? And I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think that piece of information is that people can really take with them and say, you know what? I didn't do the work, or I didn't have the conversations, or I didn't invite. Because I remember once I tried to do a promo and I was like, hey, I want to implement the system and we're going to track the people you talk to. We're going to track your leads. And everyone's, I don't want to track.
They don't want to do it.
Like, that's interesting. That's so interesting that you don't want to do that and you're not getting the results that you want.
You hit the nail right on the head. One of my best-selling training programs is called Cracking the Code to Success in Network Marketing. And I can absolutely guarantee you in that first section, I talk about the concept of make a decision. If you're going to be successful here, you have to draw a line in the sand and step over that line and say, I'm going to do this until I win. There's no exit strategy. There's no bowing out strategy. It's like there's some dude back in the probably 1400s or 1200s or something, burned the ships. I don't remember who it was. In other words, they came to the shore, they burned all their ships, and it was literally do or die. And the crazy thing about making a decision, which the truth is many people haven't, a decision is followed up by immediate and never ending action until you get done whatever it is you're looking to get done. So people who think they made a decision, well, are you acting? Because sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Then really you haven't made the decision. And when you've cut off or you've eliminated all of the exit options, the quitting options, the going to another company options, the whatever options, what's interesting is the universe has to provide you all of the things that'll help you become successful, because that now becomes your only option. So all the resources, all the tools, all the know-how, everything has to avail itself to you, because this is the choice that you've made, because there is no other choice. And if more people did that, we see so many more people succeed. The problem is network marketing is too cheap to get in. It's $100, $50, costs like nothing to get in. So anybody can get in, which is beautiful. I wouldn't have been able to do this at the age of 22 if it cost 10 grand to do it. So I think that's a beautiful thing, but it also means that there's a lot of people that enter our profession that shouldn't even be here.
It makes it too easy almost, and too easy to quit, right? We've learned that over the years, the more you charge or the more your product is, the more people are going to commit to it, right? If it's a $10 product or a $50 product, that's different than a $5,000 or $10,000 product. People are going to show up differently to get those kind of results.
And Todd, you've been in multiple network marketing companies, correct?
I've been in 7 over the last 35 years.
Wow. But you have to have a passion for them. I think you have to have a passion, because so many people are, oh, Tina, I want you to try this thing. And I'm, okay, well, send it to me. If it works, I'll promote it. But if it don't work, I can't promote something that does not work for me. I just feel that's just not ethical for me. So don't you feel like you have to have a passion for what you're selling or what you're doing in the industry?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody could come and succeed and that they don't really like what they're selling, but I think it's going to keep your interest if you're really okay, I really believe in this product and what it's done for me, or the service and how it's helped me enhance my life. It becomes just way easier to sell and way easier to talk about with integrity. Yeah, I mean, like a term that we've used in network marketing for eons is be a product of the product. And I do think that's an important thing. It's like, you're going to sell something and your person you're talking to is, are you taking this? You're like, hell no, I'm not taking it. I'm like, hey, you're introducing me to this thing and you're not even, no, I don't take it. I'm just selling this stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to buy it either. So yeah, I do think it's an important thing. I mean, yeah, all the companies that I've chosen to do in my history of doing network marketing are because I believed in what the company was doing, the mission of the company, the products, and the problems that they were solving.
Cool. And I know you talk a lot about confidence too. So Christina mentioned that she's very confident. She's used to talking to people, and the chair, you're very confident as well, Todd. So for those who are just getting into the space, or even who've been in it for a while, because I know a lot of network marketers have been in the game for 5 years and they still don't make any money. They love these products. What are some of the things that they can do to build their confidence and start growing their own community?
First of all, confidence can be developed by anybody who chooses to develop their confidence. And there's a direct correlation between competence and confidence. So competence is skill level. Like if you have low competence, low skill level, you're going to have low confidence. But if you work on your skills and you become better at what you're doing, your confidence to that thing rises. Problem is, like, people in network marketing say that they want to get good, but there are very few of them actually intentionally work on getting good. They're like going through the motions, or they're doing the stuff, but they're really not obsessed with, like, I'm going to do everything in my power to really improve and to really refine my skills. And like that phrase, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. 25 years ago, I probably said that, heard it, said it, repeated it, but I don't believe that. I don't believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. However, how you get good at one thing is how you get good at everything. So you take something that you're good at, that you have a high amount of confidence in. How did you get good at that? Well, you read books on it, you studied it, you watched YouTube videos, you practiced it over and over and over again, you took lessons. I look at my kids that play bass and guitar and the level of improvement that these kids have had. Their fingers are on those instruments every day for a couple hours a day, and they're taking lessons and they're looking at stuff, and both of them are obsessed with becoming good. And to see the kind of progression that they have as a result of that is huge. I think it would be important for you to just take something in your life that you are good at, and I'm good at this thing. How did I get good at it? This is what I did to get good at it. First of all, I guarantee you have confidence around that thing that you're good at. Like when I started in network marketing, my jobs were Jack in the Box, McDonald's, parking cars at Kelly's restaurant, and I sold women's shoes for a few months. Yeah, I was working at Jack in the Box, man. it's interesting. I came with no skills, but I came in with like, I want to do this. I want to have the results that I'm seeing other people having. And I knew that if I stayed where I was in terms of my skill level, like when I was prospecting, I was cotton mouth, heart pounding, sweat coming down off of my head. I was so nervous. Anytime I'd get on the phone with a prospect, I would like freeze up and freak out. And I mean, I was terrible. And it's so funny because now I can recruit like nobody's business. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody anywhere at any time about a business vehicle. Back then, it'd be like, oh, yeah. And then I'd hang up on them because I started stuttering. And I could do that back then because there wasn't caller ID. You know, pick up the phone, you're like, and then hang up and then like gather yourself. And then 7 minutes later, pick up the phone and call again. Hi, is John in? Yeah, did you just call me? I'm like, no, why?
It's so interesting because people see the polished version of you, or they see who you've become in the process. And the beginning is always awkward. The conversations that you have. And it's so interesting because now it just flows off the top of my head. I don't even have to think about the conversation because I've said it so many times. And people said, well, how do you get so good on live video? How do you get so good having these conversations? How do you know what to say? Oh, I've had thousands of conversations. I've gotten to know thousands of people. I've made hundreds of mistakes and I'm like, damn it, I pushed the sale and I never should have, right? Or this is where I went wrong, or this is where I lost that person because I put my sale in front of their needs and their results, right? I had to learn those things time and time again for it to click. But it's the chops that you get in the process. I remember when I first did my live video, I think I was walking while I was doing it. And 6 months later, I had a customer reach out to me and say, hey, I just caught one of your live videos. You've gotten so much better. I didn't think you were going to make it at the beginning. Oh, no.
Oh, that's some areas. I look at videos I did 20 years ago. I'm like, that's pathetic. But I don't take them down. I'm like, oh, I used to, yeah, that was my first video. Yeah.
I don't think I even blinked.
That I want people to know that we didn't start off great. We started off terrible, and you have to be willing to suck through it. And that's every business. That's not just network marketing. That's not just conversations. That is every business that you do. As you learn new skills, you are going to suck in the beginning, and you have to be willing to suck. That's actually part of cracking that code to success. It's like you have to be willing to suck before you get good, because if you don't do the thing that is going to get you to the next level, that thing that you're ignoring right now, then you never get to that next level.
You have to go out there and be fearless, right? Like Todd Falcone, you have a book called Fearless Networking, and you have to get out there and not be afraid to do anything. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah. I mean, that book, it's interesting. So my whole brand became the Fearless Networker. And it's kind of funny to me because I was the fearful networker. So I went from the fearful networker to the fearless networker by doing some of these things that we've discussed. And like real quick, like you talk about it being messy and going through the process. Natalie Cole has a really great quote, which is everybody sees the glory, but they don't know the story, which is really interesting. So they see where you are, what you've got, where you're at, and they must have always been that, but you don't know the whole backstory. And all of us have a backstory. It's messy. Entrepreneurs are not built overnight. They're built day to day. So I wrote that book, Fearless Networking, a couple of years ago. I mean, we've crushed it with that book. We sold, I think, over 400,000 or 500,000 copies of it. And it's 100 and some odd pages. It's content from cover to cover. And it took me 2 years and 6 days to write that book. 2 years of thinking about it and 6 days to write it. It's about developing rapport and creating connections, how to invite effectively, overcome objections, questions, inviting, following up, and closing. So it's all these fundamental things that we do in the business. And it's literally more of a training than it is a book, that's actually how I wrote it, because I was like, it was so daunting thinking about writing a book. And then I was like, I'm going to create a training. And as soon as I thought about it as a training, then it all flowed out and I was done with it in 6 days, which is hilarious to me. I thought about it and I'd start writing and I'd start sweating. And then I step away and I get a word or a paragraph in. What am I going to write? What's this book about? And then I'm going to do this. And then I wrote for like 12 hours a day for like 6 days straight and it was done.
One of the things that I like to hear from our guests is a little bit about your success in entrepreneurship with your family. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with your family?
Yeah. So I started in network marketing early, and then I spent 2 years kind of learning a ton, but no financial success. Had to run home and live in the bunk beds in my parents' house, took a job at a radio station selling advertising, and regrouped financially, cut up on my credit cards, and, living in the bunk beds literally at the parents' house. And, within about 6 or 7 months, I had met my wife. So really quickly, I found another network marketing company, and I was having my check and my product shipped to a friend's house, because if my mom found out, I was like in deep doo-doo. I was like leaving the house with a roll of quarters and a pager to go prospect. And I'm coming home from the radio station. I'm going into the garage office like 2 or 3 hours a night. And my wife comes in one day and she's like crying, you're going to go to jail. You're in a pyramid scheme. My brother did pyramid schemes. I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, whoa, wait, hang on a second. Wait, what? I'm like, look, baby, here's the deal. You get me in network marketing or we ain't together. This is what I'm doing. And I was very adamant about what I was doing. I was like, and I reached into my desk drawer and I had pulled out a check for the month that I was making. The check for that month, I think it was somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. Let's call it $3,500. And I'd been sitting in my desk for like 2 weeks. I hadn't even deposited it yet. And I'm like, this is what I'm doing in here. And she looked at the check. And it wasn't a big check, but she's like, oh my gosh, that's more than I make full time. Could I quit my job? I'm like, no, you can't quit your job yet. But you know, what's funny is she saw that it worked and immediately like was fully supportive. And by the way, if you want to shut up a negative spouse that's, why are you doing this for? Then you need to hustle. You need to step up, step in and get after it and prove to them because they will shut up. And then the funny thing is husbands do this all the time. The lady goes out there, makes it big in network marketing, gives her some crap initially, and then finds out that it's working. And then she retires him. And now he's like, I need to be up on stage with you. And it needs to be Todd and Carla, not Carla and Todd. You know, I do this all the time that they take credit for women's success, which I think is funny. But, you know, it's been crazy because my kids have only known a father that's worked from home. I remember when my oldest kid, Johnny, he was at the time probably 6, and we were out in the front of the house on a Tuesday morning throwing basketballs. And all these cars were buzzing out of the neighborhood, 8 o'clock or something, 7:30, 8 o'clock. He's like, Dad, where's everybody going? I'm like, buddy, they're going to work. He's like, they don't all work at home? I'm like, no. I go, most people get up, they'll go to a job for 8 or 10 hours, and then they come home. Oh, I like what you do, you know? And like he had no idea. So they've only known a father that's worked at home. And I've set barriers and rules in the house. I'm in my office here in the house and my door is closed. And they know, and they've known this for years. If Dad's door's closed, you don't come barging in because I'm probably on a conference call or on a Zoom or something. I mean, if you're bleeding and something's wrong, open up the door. That's fine. It's never happened. But sometimes they know to tap and kind of take a peek in. We've been able to do things that a lot of families don't do. Just family time and being together and not missing out on important things like people in concerts and soccer games and stuff like that. We've never missed out on anything because we've been self-employed and at home with the kids. It's been beautiful.
I think that's a huge piece of network marketing that people fail to recognize as they continue to go down the path of working around the clock, especially right now. And I do believe that more and more people are looking for what we have. More and more people are looking for that freedom, that flexibility, that time with their kids. We all recognize that we're going to have a couple of different significant income coming in to be able to raise our kids in the way that we want. But it is not lost on me that I get to pick up my daughter every day, that if I need to take a day off or she's sick or whatever it is, that I'm able to be there for her. And so many parents just don't have that gift. And I would say that that's a stronger pull for me than the money.
Agreed. Funny is like you can have all the stuff in the world, but when you're dead, you can't take any of that stuff with you. You can only take the experiences in life, right? And simple things to me, people ask me, what's one of the coolest things about network marketing? Well, honestly, we have a river property up in Washington State that's their own private campground right on the river. And, you know, when people like the great populace, they leave on Friday afternoon after work, they're scrambling to put their stuff together, zip up there. They're there Friday night late in the dark. They get all day Saturday and then Sunday, oh gosh, we got to drive home and I got to work on Monday. And then they're zipping out of there. I'm like, let's just go up there on Wednesday and come back on Tuesday. So we leave Wednesday, no traffic. It's all solo up there. Everybody's rushing out on Sunday and we're just like, see you guys next time. And then we roll out of there when we feel like we want to roll out of there. So that freedom is really, for me at least, the thing that I value the most, the freedom of choice to, you know, I'm moving into ski season right now. And if the snow is flying, it's been snowing right now. And it's a powder morning. I'm up and rolling up to the mountain to ski for a couple hours and then come back home. So freedom of choice is the thing for me personally.
Oh, and I love seeing other people do it too, right? That's one of the gifts when you get into the business long enough that you've got a team and you get to lead a team and you see other people start to change their lives. You brought up a really good point. You can go skiing during the week. You can go to Disneyland during the week and miss all the weekend crowds. You don't have to rush around. There's a lot of confidence that you build and a lot of skill set in that space. But if you're somebody that values freedom and time with your family, I don't know another business out there that is better than what you do in network marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
Todd, do you have a millionaire morning routine that you do every morning besides getting up and getting your coffee and going skiing?
I mean, I have my morning routine for sure. I get up typically 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, do a little bit of reading, and then get a cup of coffee, and then motor out to yoga. And I do yoga for an hour or come home. And yoga for me has been life changing. You could have a cloudy day. It's clear outside, but you're kind of doomy and gloomy and dark, and you're not really in a good mental space. And you do yoga, and it just takes all the clouds out of the day. And you're just, that to me, I go to the gym and I lift and do all that stuff, but yoga for first thing in the morning is huge for me. It gives me clarity. It makes me feel great. I'm all stretched and sweated out, and come home and take a shower. I'm at the desk by 8:30 and getting after it. I think that for me, it's moving my body first thing in the morning is probably the most important thing.
That's right.
So true. So Todd, Fearless Networking is your first book?
I would say it's my first book. A lot of people conceive it as a book, was the Little Black Book of Scripts, which I wrote quite a long time ago. I actually just got done doing a full rewrite of that. We finished it on Monday. And so I completely updated the original Little Black Book of Scripts to the definitive guide of communication and scripting and network marketing. It's amazing. I've got it going off to a designer today, and I'm excited to get out in the marketplace because it's just got so much more social media conversations for literally every situation that encounter as a networker. So that should be released here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's the one book, the physical book, and then Little Black Book of Scripts. And I've got a couple more in me that I got to get to, but haven't sat down to write them yet.
So Todd, if you could leave the audience with anything, to summarize up your book and to summarize up what you stand for, what would you say is probably the most meaningful thing that you've learned to crack the code of success?
You got to take responsibility for yourself. Nobody's going to save you but you. If you don't like where you're going and what's going on with your life, you got to be the person that steps up and makes the change. And nobody's going to reach out and say, I'm going to save you from suffering and where you're at. Like, you got to decide, am I happy getting what I'm getting and doing what I'm doing or not? And if you're not, then do something about it. And it's not like network marketing is the only option out there. There's lots of things that you could do. I think it's a great option for sure. Very few businesses have the kind of leverage that we have in network marketing, but do something, man. Don't sit in that same spot and be in that spinning circle of whatever you're in. You got to get out of that spin and get moving. And you got to be the person that does it.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Todd Falcone, you guys, go to toddfalcone.com. You can grab his book, his trainings. Now, you still have a tracker? I used to have a tracker that was like a little spiral bound type of tracker. You still have that?
Yeah, I still have it. I haven't really reordered it. I actually made that for me, not to sell. So I have like 100 of them left, and I haven't decided whether, because it's not a moneymaker for me. I really did it because I was using something else and it kept falling apart halfway through. So I had my printer like make me a really good one that was specific to what I did. I literally have it right here. I use this thing like every day. So yeah, I don't think we're even selling it anymore on my website, but yeah, I think tracking, like I track every single bit of revenue producing activity. If I make a call, a text, an email, a direct message, I log it in chronological order so I can keep myself accountable for revenue producing activity. So I've done that for years, continue to do it. And yeah, so I still have it, but I'm not selling it.
That's what success is when you can keep yourself accountable and you don't need anybody else to do it for you, right? That's really what it takes when you're getting to long-term success. Again, Todd, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you're getting value from the show, take a minute to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you tune in. It helps more bold entrepreneurs find us. Until next time, keep showing up, uncensored and unapologetic. And we'll catch you on the next episode.